Good afternoon and welcome to my channel, Kingdom Occupation, where I discuss everything that pertains to the kingdom of God and the times that we are living in. I'm Jan McLean, and I invite you to subscribe to my channel, to like my videos, and to share them because this helps to get the videos out to people who need to have this information because it's very valuable to those who will apply it to their lives. So thank you for joining me today. And so today I want to talk about the nationwide emergency alert test that will be taking place tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And that would be 1:20 p.m. in the central time zone where I live. There is a backup schedule if this emergency broadcast alert does not happen tomorrow. It will happen supposedly scheduled for a week from today, which would be October the 11th at the same time. So let's take a look at this nationwide emergency alert test. And it's a collaboration between FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the FCC, and the National Weather Services to bring wireless emergency alerts to people everywhere. And this is it within the whole United States. This will happen for everyone. And I want to talk about the importance of this. But first, let's look at a report from NPR, which tells us to a nationwide emergency alert test is coming to your phone on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. Consider yourself warned. The federal government will conduct a nationwide test of the emergency alert system on Wednesday afternoon. The test messages will be sent to all cell phones, telephones, and radios. The test will emit a sound on phones. The Federal Emergency Agency, the FCC, are running a test in preparation for actual emergencies. The aim of the test is to ensure the emergency messaging system is running smoothly in the event Americans are threatened by natural disasters, terrorism, or other dangers to the public. And it goes on to say that this is similar to Amber Alerts, which you are familiar with in times past. We get Amber Alerts all the time. So why is this important? Now, one thing I want to say is if you don't want to hear that noise that it makes, that loud noise, you can shut your systems down. They have to be completely shut down though, so you won't hear that. So you won't hear the alert. Let me see. There was something else I wanted to say about this. It is only a test, and there's nothing that we need to do at this point. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. It's scheduled for tomorrow at 2:20 Eastern, 1:20 Central. The testing window runs for 30 minutes, but you should only receive the message once. If an actual emergency happens that day, the test could be postponed and the backup is a week following, which would be October the 11th. Now, I thought this was important enough to talk about today because it's an emergency alert nationwide that I've never received one nationwide over my telephone. I see them all the time, of course, on the television, but on my telephone, I've never received a national emergency alert. But this is important right now because of the state of the world that we are living in. William Forstchen, who is a military historian, wrote to, I believe it was the Washington Post, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but one of the main media outlets, and he said that the main threat to America is an electronic or electrical magnetic pulse, an EMP. And that's the main threat at this point from other nations to America. This electronic or electrical magnetic pulse that could be detonated 200 miles above our atmosphere. And the reason it's such a main threat is because it would and has the capability of disabling the entire electrical system. And it was noted that with 3 blasts of ballistic missiles detonated up 200 miles above our atmosphere over America, the entire electrical grid would be shorted out. And our grid is old, and we know that our electrical grid needs to be updated, and it's very old, so it's vulnerable to being detonated and shorted out. The EMP, they call it an EMP, electronic or electrical pulse, magnetic pulse. The EMP detonation would happen with some type of nuclear weapon. And we noticed that in February of this year, there was a balloon that just took a whole week to go across our nation. It was a Chinese balloon, and they said it was a weather balloon. That has never happened in my lifetime. So naturally, I'm not going to totally believe and just buy into that just automatically because they said so. Why would we allow a Chinese balloon just to slowly go from coast to coast across America? So that balloon could have been a weather balloon, but it also could have been a spy balloon. It also could have been a balloon that was gathering data to look into, sort of like a satellite, to look into what is on the ground from above and what could be vulnerable for America. And I'm saying this today because, as I said earlier, I have never been in an emergency alert on my phone. Never. So this is very unusual for me and for you too. If you have, I would like to know about it. I've never had this happen. It's very unusual. And I want to recall one thing that I read and some years back, and I recently saw it on YouTube again, where the pastor of the Times, the church in Times Square, back in the 70s, prophesied about he had a vision about America. And we don't know the time frame, and he didn't say the time frame because I don't believe God gave it to him. But David Wilkerson is his name. David Wilkerson, yes. The Cross and the Switchblade, he wrote that, I believe. But anyway, he had a vision of America back in the 70s. And one thing that stood out to me that has never happened since he had the vision was that he saw America was in complete darkness. Now, he did not say how long we were in complete darkness, but he saw that something had occurred. And from New York City all across America, we were in complete darkness. So you might wonder, am I trying to make you afraid or scare you? I believe that it's better to know what is in the plans of those who are your enemy, so you will be able to pray against it. As citizens of the kingdom of God, we need to be praying against all of these things that are potential attacks against our nation, against our person, against our families, because we are living in those times, times of detriment, times that nations are rising against nations, and each nation is trying to be. There are three nations who are vying for the top position, and we know those are China, Russia, and America. So of course we would be the target of other nations who are vying for that top spot. So my suggestion to you, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, that we will be thrust into darkness, but David Wilkerson in the 70s had that dream and he put it out. And that message is still out on YouTube, and you ought to look it up. David Wilkerson, who started the Times Square Church in New York, and he had the vision in 1971. Look that up and listen to it, because if it's going to happen within our time, you know, God might allow it to happen after the catching away of the church, but it might happen while we're here. We need two things I think we should do as citizens of the kingdom of God. Number one, I believe we need to be praying against anything that is trying to occur before God says it's time for it to occur. Any plot that is being set forth against the citizens of the world, not just the people of God, but people everywhere, citizens of this world, we need to be praying that God would destroy the plans and the plot of the wicked one, the evil one, until he says it's time for that plan to come forth, if ever. I hope you understand what I'm saying. We don't want anything to happen before it's time. And we see that the enemy, with all of his forces, are mounting up against citizens of the world to achieve the goal of globalization, to achieve the goal of a one world government, a one world religion, and a one world economic system. We see the plans in place and we see them being pushed forth every day. And I've talked about it, and other people are talking about it all over the place. So I believe the first thing that we need to do is talk to the Lord and say, God, if this is not within your time frame, even if you're going to allow it at some time, if it's not time for this, push it back, destroy the plans, don't let them come forth. And we have to trust that God will do so and take care of each and every one of us because he loves us. And the second thing I believe we need to do, and this is a hard one, if possible, because we're living in a time of lawlessness, every man for himself. We don't know who to vote for because everybody is lying to us. There's deception everywhere. But if we can find people who will be honest, who are still standing for the citizens of the world, those are the people that need to be in office, not because of a race, a color, but because of their voting record, because they care about the people, because they will do all they can do to protect the people. Those are the two things that I believe we should be doing and should not be fearful and afraid to do, because we are in the time where serious things are happening around us every day. And again, I'm not trying to bring fear, but these are facts. Not fear, but facts. These things are happening. We are in the day and the time. And the good thing about it, the awesome part about it is that it's an exciting time that God has allowed us to see. But with this time comes a great responsibility. And we need to be standing for what is right and what is true and what will help the citizens of the world, because the message of the gospel still has to get out to people. And Jesus and God is waiting for the harvest to be reaped, for souls to come into the kingdom of God before he makes his appearing in the clouds. So, yes, we are going to have an alert tomorrow. If you don't want to hear it, shut down your devices. But it's a test, but that test is indicative of the knowledge that there are many, many potential threats that are looming before the United States, that are looming before the world in an effort to have a power grab for the globalization and the global agenda. God bless you. Again, please subscribe to my channel, share my videos, leave a comment. And thank you for joining me today. And I will see you again next Tuesday at 2. And I think I'm going to start making some reels and just as reminders and maybe quick updates as God drops different knowledge and different thoughts into my spirit. I think I'm going to start creating reels. So look for me there and pass the word. And God bless you and have a wonderful week. Goodbye.